That store with your name known at the counter. That book of stamps you licked and saved. That whole way of shopping that has completely disappeared. There was an entire world of American stores and shopping that has vanished. The way you bought things, who sold them to you, how you paid, all of it different, all of it gone, replaced by something a shopper today would find unrecognizable. In a few minutes, you are going to hear about the stamps millions of families collected that could furnish a whole house for free. The kind of store that sold everything, where the clerk fetched each item for you by hand. And the single building, opened in one Minnesota suburb, that killed the American Main Street. 50 vanished stores and shopping experiences fill this video. These are the ones that make people say, I completely forgot we used to do that. All of them real. All of them how America shopped. If you grew up in the 1950s or 60s, you did not just see these stores. You shopped in every one of them every single week. Subscribe before we start, and stay to the end, because the last one is the kind of store people say they would give anything to walk into one more time. In the small town, the general store or the corner grocery worked in a way that would baffle a modern shopper. You did not push a cart and gather your own items. You handed the clerk a list, or read it out, and he walked the aisles and shelves and fetched every item for you, weighed the flour and the coffee from big bins, wrapped it in paper, and stacked it on the counter. He knew you, knew your family, knew what you usually bought. Here is the part that is truly gone. He kept your account in a book. You did not always pay cash. The grocer wrote down what you owed in a ledger, and you settled up at the end of the week or the month, or after the harvest if you were a farm family in a lean season. The whole thing ran on trust and a personal relationship between the man behind the counter and every family in town. The self-service supermarket changed all of it. Once you pushed your own cart and gathered your own goods, the store could be bigger, cheaper, and faster, and it no longer needed to know your name. The clerk who fetched your order and kept your account in a book disappeared. The next thing rewarded you for shopping, and families obsessed over it. Every time you shopped, the cashier handed you stamps, and those stamps were a small obsession in millions of American homes. The most famous were S&H green stamps. You got them at the grocery store, the gas station, the department store, a few for every dollar you spent. You took them home, licked them, and pasted them into little books, and when you had filled enough books, you took them to a redemption center and traded them for merchandise from a catalog, a toaster, a lamp, a bicycle, a set of dishes, all for stamps. Here is how big this was. At their peak in the 1960s, S&H green stamps were so popular that the company printed more stamps each year than the United States Postal Service, and their catalog was said to be the largest single publication in the entire country. Families planned their shopping around which store gave stamps, and children spent hours licking and pasting to fill the books faster. The stamps faded as stores shifted to plain low prices, and, much later, to plastic loyalty cards and digital points. The sticky books, the redemption center, the whole ritual of saving stamps toward a treasured item disappeared. The rewards went invisible, into a card and an app. Before we go on, tell me in the comments, did your family save green stamps? What did you get from the catalog? I read every single one. Downtown, the great department store was not a shop. It was a destination, a day out, a place you dressed up to visit. Stores like Marshall Field's, Gimbel's, and the Grand Local Emporium filled floor after floor. An elevator operator in white gloves called out each floor by name. There was a proper sit-down restaurant, a tea room, sometimes a bargain basement, and gift wrapping done by hand. At Christmas, the display windows became animated wonderlands that families drove into the city just to stand and watch. Here is what made it feel grand. Everything was served to you. A clerk behind each counter knew the stock and helped you choose. You could open a charge account with the store itself, carry their card, and have your purchases delivered to your door by the store's own truck. Shopping was an experience of being attended to, in a palace of goods, and it took the whole day. The suburban mall pulled shoppers out of downtown. The discount chains undercut the service and the price. The internet finished it. The grand downtown department store, with its elevator operator and its tea room and its animated windows, is nearly extinct. The next thing gathered all the stores under one roof, and it changed America. The shopping mall feels timeless now, but it was born in this era, and it reshaped the whole country. On October 8, 1956, in the Minnesota suburb of Edina, a fully enclosed, climate-controlled shopping center called Southdale opened its doors. It was the first of its kind in the world, designed by an architect named Victor Gruen, with dozens of stores facing inward around a bright open court, kept at perfect temperature all year, while the Minnesota winter howled outside. 75,000 people came to see it. Here is the irony of it. The mall was invented to recreate the friendly, walkable Main Street indoors, a town square protected from the weather, and it worked so well that it drew all the shops and all the shoppers out of the real downtowns and into itself, and the actual main streets it was meant to imitate withered and died. The mall killed the very thing it was copying, and then, in its turn, the mall itself began to die. Online shopping pulled the shoppers out of the mall the way the mall once pulled them out of downtown. Now the dead mall, silent and empty, joins the dead Main Street. Both the thing and the thing that replaced it are vanishing together. The next stores were the everyday shops that lined every neighborhood. Before one giant store sold everything, you visited a whole street of specialists, each an expert in one thing. There was the butcher, who cut your meat to order and knew exactly how your family liked it. The baker, whose shop you could smell from down the block. The dairy, the fishmonger, the greengrocer, the shoe repair, the hardware store where a man could find the single screw you needed and tell you how to use it, and the five and dime and the corner drugstore with its soda fountain, tying the street together. Here is what has quietly been lost. Expertise and relationship. The butcher was a craftsman who had trained for years. The hardware man could solve your problem. Each shopkeeper knew his trade deeply and knew his customers personally, and shopping meant a series of real human conversations with people who were masters of their small domain. The supermarket and the big box store swallowed all of them, putting meat, bread, milk, hardware, and medicine under one roof, cheaper and faster, sold by staff who ring it up but cannot always tell you a thing about it. The street of expert specialists became a single vast store of strangers. The last one is the kind of store people miss the most, the one that was about far more than shopping. And what people miss most about the old stores was never really the merchandise. It was that a store used to be a gathering place, a piece of the community itself. The general store had a stove with chairs around it where the men sat and talked. The soda fountain was where the teenagers gathered. The barber shop, the beauty parlor, the corner shop, these were where news traveled, where you caught up on the neighborhood, where the owner asked about your mother by name and meant it. You did not just buy things there, you belonged there. Here is the whole heart of it. Shopping was social. It was woven into the life of the town, built on faces and names and years of small daily contact. The person who sold you your bread had sold your family bread for 20 years, and going to the store was going out among your people, not a solitary errand among strangers. Self-service, the car, the big anonymous store, and finally the screen took the human contact out of shopping, one step at a time. Now you can buy anything without speaking to a single soul, without leaving your house, without ever being known. The store as a warm, familiar gathering place at the heart of a community faded away. But if you grew up going to those stores, greeted by name, among neighbors, you remember exactly how it felt, and no one can take that back. The grocer who fetched your order and kept your account in a book. The green stamps you licked and pasted toward a prize. The grand department store with its elevator operator and animated windows. The first enclosed mall that killed the Main Street. The street of expert specialists. The butcher and the baker and the hardware man. And the store that was the beating heart of the community. Every one of it, gone or nearly gone. Some replaced by self-service, some by the mall, some by the big box, and now the mall and the big box are dying too. None of it felt special at the time. It was just shopping. It was just the ordinary errands of an ordinary week, in stores you never imagined could disappear. We do not really miss the merchandise. We miss the people, the grocer who knew your name, the butcher who knew your cut, the store where you belonged, among neighbors, at the center of a living town. Those stores do not come back, but they do not really leave either. They are still here, in a photograph, in a memory, in you. So tell me in the comments, which of these stores did you shop in? Name it and one thing you remember. Not the store, the person behind the counter. Subscribe, and we will keep looking back together, because there is a lot more of this country left to remember.